What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we've got a very different video than what we normally do with like career modes and stuff like that. We are here in the MP4-20. All the lads out there, you can see they've got their 2005 uniforms on, if that's what you want to call it. Beautiful, beautiful show at the time. You don't see anything quite like that nonetheless, but we're going to split this up into two pieces. This time we're going to use it full 2005 spec, traction control, ABS, and see how we get on immediately. We get off the line straight away, and as you can see, we've got a Williams just flying past us, a McLaren throwaway. Everyone's just zooming past us. We're bottom in our tier at the moment, but we're going to have to make some moves coming down into turn one and see what we can do with the assists we have on. Now, obviously, we've got the assists on to mimic what it was for the drivers at the time. Had a full ABS. I believe they had stability control as well as traction control. So halfway through this race, we're going to switch to medium traction control just to see the benefits we can kind of gain. And around this track, I believe the lap record was a 131 point, let's say 8. It was by Pedro de la Rosa. I can't remember the exact lap time. I'll pop that up on screen now, and you'll see what we can do in terms of actually, trying to make that actually up in this video. But we're stuck behind Marino in the Williams at the moment, so he's not in our tier. He's in the C2 tier. So the sooner we clear him, the sooner we can actually get onto the back of the C1 cars, which is going to be really important. But nonetheless, if you guys aren't familiar with this car, you didn't watch Formula 1 back in 2005, this car was an absolute monster. It was by far the fastest car on the grid, and unfortunately, Kimi just missed out on the championship that year, so it was very bittersweet. There was an incident in the 2005 European Grand Prix where he was on the last lap ahead of Fernando Alonso, and his tyre just fell off in a sense. His tyre just burst through the vibrations, ripped the suspension clean off because he neglected to pit. I believe he had a lock-up, so that really screwed him over in that sense. But we're now behind Correa, which is kind of interesting that they picked Correa for a classic driver. But nonetheless, we're behind him, and we're going to see how we do against these C1 cars. Now, obviously, the car ahead will be essentially running the same thing. They had traction control in this year, in 2007 as well, up until 2008. Now, one thing I did notice, and you'll see it from here, we're really close on the back of him, but under traction, he just go. Like, we have got no speed at all in anything with the traction on. So I'm going to give it another lap. About that point is where I'll change it to medium and just kind of see what we can do. At the moment, our best is a 140.7. Obviously, that was in traffic, so this time we've had a bit more chance to actually get a bit of clean air, and you can see we're already up by about 6 seconds. So we'll be near the mark that Pedro de la Rosa set, but we're going to have to see what we can do. Again, they just absolutely take off through the traction phase, but obviously because the power from this car, obviously we do actually kind of get closer to them, and I end up passing them. But here, perfect example, we're literally side by side, and they pull out about 2 car lengths to us, which is obviously not great, but down the straight, they're absolutely no match for us. So 133.8 obviously isn't great, but we're going to see what we can do when we change the traction. But the next car we have up ahead, I believe, is the F2007. Ironically, another car that Kimi Räikkönen drove and actually won the championship with back in 07. For myself, that was a great year. Obviously, being a Kimi fan for most of my life, it was just the best. It was gutting. That 2006 was an awful year for McLaren, but that didn't pan out. But luckily enough for us, we've got 2 of his best cars here, and we're going to see exactly what we can do. There's not much happening through this phase because they've just got so much. Obviously, they've got better traction, with the traction being on at the moment. But at the same token, you would have thought they'd have been the same because obviously 2005, 6, 7, they all had traction control on the cars. That was allowed by the regulations. 2008 was the first year you couldn't. So I would have expected Hamilton's McLaren to actually be a little bit faster than these cars at least. But nonetheless, around about here is where we're going to change the thing to medium and see what we can do. See if we gain anything substantial compared to that. Obviously, it'll be a bit difficult to check with this sector time, but the last sector will definitely be a good way to check and see. And this will be a good example of running full traction opposed to medium traction, just in general racing games as well as Formula 1 games. But nonetheless, I can already tell it's so much quicker on the accelerator, which is obviously what we want. And visually, you can see that they're not actually pulling away from us. Now, the last corner will be very telling coming out of that to see how we do. We could end up passing these cars if we're lucky. But coming down into last corner, and they haven't got away from us whatsoever. We're going to come down the start-finish straight. We're going to go past the F2007. The car just ahead, I believe, is the Williams from 2003. I'm not sure what that name is. A 132.5 with half a lap of no traction control. So it'll be interesting to see how we do there. There's the 2008 McLaren I was on about, which should be a little bit faster. I think the grunt of the Williams is probably just helping it out just a little bit, just to keep it ahead of the McLaren. But nonetheless, we can see we absolutely steamroll past that McLaren. Not just because of traction, but I guess just the raw power from this car. It was the last of the V10s, so naturally you'd expect the car to be a little bit faster in a straight line. There we go, straight away 6/10 up, which is what we're looking at, 131.9. So we've still got a bit more of the lap to go, and hopefully we can improve. But it doesn't look like we'll be able to catch up to the following cars just because of how far behind we are. It's a bit of a mare to say the least. But nonetheless, coming into the section, so now we've done a complete lap with our full traction control. We're going to see how we do, but fingers crossed we can get close to the time, if not beat it. And then on the second run, we're going to do it completely medium and see how we end up and see the difference and see what kind of lap time we can push out in this car, especially driving with the Kimi Räikkönen helmet. Not a bad one, but look at that, 2.257 seconds through the middle sector alone. Because obviously we've gained so much time in the traction phases in the middle sector that our lap time is going to be, what, in the 130s at least, which is obviously way better than what he's able to achieve for Pedro Rosa in this car. But when I come across the line, I'm going to set a lap time of 130.3, so we've smashed the lap time already. And this kind of goes to show, and my idea and the thought process was, imagine how fast these cars would have gone with the V10s in if they didn't have traction control. They would be absolutely flying. The lap records would definitely still be standing to this day, 100%. Just the raw power of these engines were just absolutely insane, to say the least. But coming in to the end of the first sector, we missed the apex, good margin, by a good margin at least. But one thing I did notice with this, especially with this 4/10 up, so we're going to absolutely smash this 100%. We're looking for the 129s at the moment, which would be absolutely insane. About 2 seasons ago, real F1 qualifying pace, not too bad. But I noticed this caused me a lot of problems. There was a lot of screen freezes with this. And in the replay cameras you'll see next, the skin bugged out a little bit, where it was showing like little black bars in the car, which is a bit frustrating, to say the least. But nonetheless, we'll push on. So other than screen freezes, this was a pretty good run, I felt. Obviously we're on the back of P3 and P2. One of them is definitely the Brawn. I'm not sure. I think the other one might be the Ferrari 2003. But 7 temps up through the middle sector, and that's pretty crazy, to be fair. But we come down the back straight, and hopefully we can maybe make some gains coming up the last corner. It doesn't look like we're gonna have any chance to overtake them. But you can see we're not losing anything on the traction now. Going to come up to the line, and it doesn't look like we're even going to get the Brawn, unfortunately. So that's going to be P3 in this race. But we did actually smash that fastest lap, and I'll pop up on the screen now what the time was, as I just skipped it all together. You can see we're actually giving the little Ferrari a push. But now it's time to see what we can do with the medium traction and see how fast we can get up to the lead, because we've got a lot more pace, obviously, than the cars ahead. But initially, straight off the line, we've got a pretty decent start. We're a little bit more squirmy on the acceleration there, but you can see we already got straight up past 1. By this point, we'd already been overtaken by about 4 cars, give or take. But I'm going to try and look to go around the outside of the Williams, the F2007 and the McLaren from 2008, have a little bit of a squabble, which will sort us out pretty well. We're going to absolutely blast past the Ferrari, no worries about that. The McLaren will be the next one, and if we can get past him on the exit of this corner, then that'd be even better. Again, the Williams is quite high up with the Brawn and the other Ferrari, but they're not quite spread out. Of course, the RB10, I believe, from 2010, absolutely smashing it, to be honest with you. It might be the RB5, I'm not entirely sure which Red Bull it is, but nonetheless, cruising up to the back of the McLaren, and it's so easy to see how much more pace we have with the medium traction on now. If that's the case, then God only imagine how fast these F1 2005 V10 cars would have been without traction control. I don't think they ever ran without traction control or anything like that, but if they have anything like this demonstration or test in a sense, they would have been absolutely mighty, especially with this day and age. Ooh, nearly made contact with the good old Ferrari there. But as we come to the back of the Brawn, it's very interesting to know the difference between what is the real pace and what isn't, because we can look at the speed and all that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make much of a difference. Fair play, they're fast enough through the corners, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to tell. There's that little glitch I told you about, which caused me an absolute nightmare. But nonetheless, we're cruising up to the back of the Red Bull. It should be, well, about halfway through the next lap, I would assume we'd be able to get past them. It's just the aerodynamics that's probably letting this car down. If you had some more aero on this car, sure, you'd create more drag and, in a sense, slow it down. But at the same time, this car was just an absolute monster, and it's a shame that Kimi didn't win the championship. If you think about it, Kimi could have won 3 championships. I believe it was 2005, 3, possibly 5, and obviously you had 2007, which would have been amazing to see Kimi a 3-time, but he is only a 1-time world champion in 2007, which I probably think makes it a bit more special, to me at least. That F2007 is probably one of my favourite cars of all time. One, because of how it looks, the aero on that car just looks insane, and it's the one and only championship. I feel like a lot of people who are Button fans feel the exact same about the Brawn in a sense. They love that car because that was the car they got in the championship. But we digress, as we're again slowly catching. You could see just how much of a gap we've pulled to the Brawn already, and it was closing in on that Red Bull like no tomorrow really. And we're only on, I believe, lap 2. So if we can get them before the end of lap 2, then that just kind of shows the difference it makes. Using the traction is absolutely insane. And yeah, without a doubt, we're actually going to get past him down this little back straight here. So there's no chance for the Red Bull here. And yeah, it's going to be job done, clean around the outside. And well, what more can you ask, to be fair? Like, this car is just an absolute monster. It's just insane. And you never know, we might get back to these kind of cars eventually. But when I come across the line, P1, you can see we've got a little bit of a gap. We turned the engine down. We actually ended up lapping one of the Lotuses as well, which I thought was quite interesting, and nearly lapping another car. I'm not quite sure what car that is, but we won't worry about that. So things to take away from this: this car is an absolute monster, and I'm pretty confident without traction control on the car, yeah, it would have done absolute bits. It really, really would have. But it was a driver raid. It's in the regulations. And, I guess they thought that maybe having traction control on would probably benefit the car and the driver. Definitely be a lot easier on the tyres back in those days, where you could absolutely push like there was no tomorrow. But that's been it for this video, guys. If you have enjoyed, please do slap a like on it. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.